How's it going,
What up? What
everyone?
up? What up?
Welcome. What up, Io? How's it going? Welcome to the TNA Body Slam Post Show. Burt Maclin here, as always. I'm joined by my good buddy Io. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's well, not for the East Side guys. We're still kind of dealing again with the snow stuff, but it's all good. Wrestling wise, it's been kind of very wholesome and kind of emotional wise for like us longtime fans, so to speak. But And I will say today, Thursday in particular, has been a lot of craziness. Not just with the topic we're going to talk about, but also with this whole Paramount Warner Brother thing. That's for another topic. But outside that, I
Yeah.
had a good time tonight. Yeah, doing good. How about you, man?
Yeah, I thought tonight's episode was good, but I'm glad you said the word emotional because I think that's a great segue, especially where we're going to open the show. I think, as many people know, especially I would say the wrestling world, I would think most people know by now. Monday night, AJ Styles officially did retire. And he left the gloves in the ring, left the vest in the ring. Um, I'm gonna let you start with this one, Al. Yeah, just because I think it's kind of fitting that we're talking TNA tonight because, as I mentioned before we started the show, I think AJ's synonymous with TNA. For a lot of us, that's definitely where he cut his teeth. He began. He started. That's early part of where his career was. Where he was one of the flagship guys for them for I think close to a decade, if not more. But yeah, I want you to begin. Like when you hear the name AJ Styles, you know what I mean. Especially, obviously, what are your thoughts on him retiring? First off, Io, when you heard that, like this was it. Well, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking. Um, that sounds like a good question. I'm thinking. Usually, I just think of kind of like the word era, so to speak. Like Like he kind of represents I'll say generation. I'll just say that generation, so to speak. Because AJ guys like AJ, he kind of represented those generation talent that that worked their way up, right from the independent circuit, make a lot of noise. And then when they finally get that chance at the big spotlight, they run with it. Always kind of like, like one of those like worker consistently, consistently good in ring, consistently wowing impression, so to speak. Like I compare him like to like obviously the Daniel Bryans, the CM Punks, and the Samoa Joes. Like you hear about these guys, you know, even if we're let's say even if you're not a watch like an avid wrestling fan, but you just watch WWE or whatnot, like you at least heard of these names. So like, and I'll tell you guys to take a little back. When I heard the name, I always heard of the name AJ Styles when I was, when I was doing my thing and stuff, and always been taught about how good of this talent is, and when I finally get to see him and thinking like, oh wow, he really is what they call, he really is what he say is really is all about that hype and stuff. A little fast forward. So yeah, so for like the 12 years, he's been there. He's been the face, the franchise, uh, the face, the franchise, the man who gave TNA the man who helped TNA gave an identity. That's kind of the best way to put it. And obviously, when that time comes, he was going to move on. He went on to dominate in New Japan, became a Bullet Club leader. In my opinion, he helped establish Bullet Club. Like nothing against the original group, the Finn Balor's, and the Finn Balor's and the Tomatongas and stuff. I feel like once AJ finally got into that, and the Carl Andersons and stuff, like once AJ kind of stepped in to that void, like it became a serious group. Like like seeing AJ wearing those Bullet Club logos, it really got people to take Bullet Club serious, in my opinion. And he ran with that. Won the IWGP titles, uh, multiple Wrestle Kingdom matches and stuff. And then fast forward, to 2016, the Royal Rumble debuted. A night, if you would ask, let's say, like an long time wrestling fan, like something like this would have been possible, like it would have been wild. Given like AJ came from another world, so to speak, and you wonders how was he kind of like stepping into the WWE world, and and here he is, like 10-year WWE run that never looked back. Just kind of goes to show kind of goes to show he's the blueprint, so to speak. Like, hey, he's one of those guys. Like, even if you came from like another place or major name from another place, he's like you can still make it big in the WWE. And to his credit, like he joined. Let's say I think in his late 30s. I think he joined WWE in his late 30s. He's still and he still lived up to it. So yeah, to kind of wrap this up. I know I was giving us a little history lesson. So Monday, yeah, he was his retirement. Um, it's still really it hasn't really hit me, so to speak. Like it hasn't really hit me, but what did kind of got me into feels because like everybody had their own opinions, like oh, is he really retired or blah blah or yeah, nah, he's gonna go. We're gonna get into that a little later, but like is he retired or blah blah. Blah. What really hit me was when I started seeing like his allies and like some of his allies and familiar faces, the Bobby Roodes, the Nakamuras, Good Brothers appeared, and then the biggest one obviously was seeing. Or obviously, Kazarian was there and stuff, but like seeing the Abyss character for the first time on the WWE program, that was pretty awesome, don't you think?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
They definitely popped me, you know what I mean? Just just because like yeah, you know, people who are obviously in the know and like people pay attention know Joseph Park. I think he's an agent for WWE, or I know he works behind the scenes. I don't know his official role, but yeah, seeing him in the Abyss character, that was very cool.
he's a producer now,
Yeah, the producer. Okay.
and that kind of got me like they wouldn't be doing this just for like if it was a work and stuff, and it's like yeah, I think
Mhm.
this really is it. Like knowing AJ Styles the person, like AJ's one of those guys. He doesn't really kind of like bullshit. He's never like a bullshitter or none. Like he's hardly interacting on social and all that stuff. So I think knowing AJ, then I think I know that like thinking this is serious, and I think this really is it for him. So then we saw the beautiful Creed tribute that they put up, um, showing all his stuff with with the nice Creed hire
Mhm.
the song Creed hired. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, to sum it up, it was a very it was a perfect tribute. It was a perfect tribute to a kind of call rap in a career. I compare it to when Ric Flair had his farewell back in 2008. So after he left the gloves in the ring. Oh yeah, he oh yeah, I will say he had one thing I like. He said that um one thing he was never able to kind of focus on was being like a full-time fodder. I thought that
Mhm.
was a good one. Um, he then gave a shout out, shout out to having a great wife and supporter. His good wife Wendy, being a great supporter. Little history lesson to you guys. WWE WWE tried to reach out to WWE tried to get AJ back in 2002, back when once after WCW closed, because AJ was there for a little cup of coffee and stuff. At the time, his before wife, she was still a teacher, and if AJ took the WWE deal, they would have to relocate, and AJ, being the great supporter he is, like he didn't want uh to that to take up. Sorry, a little spring. Basically, yeah, he didn't want to like do anything to kind of like put a stop on her on his wife's career and stuff. So like he kind of turned it down.
Hmm.
Basically family first, so to speak. And like I
Yeah.
think that's remarkable. Very remarkable. I mean, a lot of people just were taking the deal and saying like, yeah, let's, like, honey, let's go, relocate, blah 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 and stuff. But like, this kind of show what kind of person AJ is. He is a family person and wife first person, obviously. So that was pretty cool. So I'm glad he gave her a shout out. All right. Yeah. Once that was done, superstars, talent crew, everyone was out, and then of course, the the dead man, the American badass himself, appeared. You might want to give him the Grim Reaper, the Grim Reaper nickname because of what he did. So he says before you leave and blah blah. He says it is my honor, esteemed honor, and then that's when the crowd popped, and I figure like, oh, this story's gone. And AJ didn't know about this either too. Yeah, AJ is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Long. I mean, it was meant to happen. I'm just glad it's happening now. So, what was your thoughts when Taker bring out the news to AJ?
That is pretty fitting just because yeah, this he shouldn't. This is the guy who shouldn't wait to get into the Hall of Fame. First ballot. If this was, what I mean, any sport, any given different sport, whether it's football or basketball, he'd walk into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I didn't actually see this. I didn't live, but I did see this online. But yeah, that is pretty cool. Just for him to immediately get in. Hopefully, this year we see him getting into the TNA Hall of Fame. Hopefully that works out in some way. Because
Oh
you know what I
yeah,
mean. Just see him get into both the same year. He deserves that. Because you had mentioned this is a guy like when you're talking like sports, looking at a guy's resume, someone's resume, and just like stacking up the stats, like just see if it's a Hall of Fame resume. You just check,
yeah,
if they produced, and yeah, AJ everywhere he went, whether it was New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, you know what I mean. He produced. This you could rely on this guy. You know what I mean. He was a franchise in many places. And yeah, even though he got to WWE late, he still had what was it, 10-year career almost, basically
a 10.
10-year career. So yeah, so for him to get in the WWE Hall of Fame, that's really really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is really cool. I think Paul Heyman kind of made a good comparison. Like he said this in a documentary. AJ is like everything that Shawn Michaels is, Bret Hart is, and Ric Flair is. Basically, like he's like the complete wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the complete wrestler. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything that Sean and Brett, was like he's kind of like updated. He's updated, the wrestlers that we were influenced, so to speak. And like he'll go down as an influencer. I think that's kind of what makes sense. What kind of makes more because you see wrestlers use the Styles Clash. Everyone uses his Styles Clash, the Pele kick, the Fosbury flop, like, and of course the spiral tap. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
those are all his. So like he's a complete influencer, and I think that's what kind of main thing. But also one more thing before we sorry, before we kind of wrap this topic. What makes him great is like he is he's just a great guy. He's just a great person. Like there's not one. And I think we will never hear one bad thing about AJ Allen Jones. Like he is a great person for a guy with all this aura, so to speak. Like he could probably have an ego if he wanted to. Like, oh, like I'm the reason TNA got to where it is. Or I'm the reason I made Bullet Club relevant, blah blah blah. Nobody in WWE can get us on my level. That type of all that stuff. He could have an ego if he wanted to, but he doesn't. And I think that's kind of what's great. Like here's this awesome wrestler, but he's also a great person and a great family a great family. I think that's kind of why, he has just so much love and support, even from all the younger up and coming wrestlers. I think that kind of, yeah, what kind of touched me too. Like some of these, younger wrestlers who were probably kids, um, when he was in TNA and stuff, and like, here they are, looking up into him and stuff. I think he takes great pride of being in the uncle, the fun uncle, so to speak. So yeah, so yeah, one more. I'll just kind of wrap up by saying, absolutely great honor. It was an emotional week. I'm glad TNA got a lot of honor and acknowledgments. Cause TNA got so much love and acknowledgement Monday. I thought that was pretty cool, especially that photo I saw with the TNA originals, grouped together. That was pretty cool. So, what was your thought? I mean, anything else you want to say about AJ? Before we kind of wrap this one.
Yeah, it's really one thing that's really cool, like compared to like watching and growing up watching WWE when they would get a wrestler. This is before they had all the massive, rights to all the massive tape library they do. But like when they'd have a wrestler and he would obviously have a career, or she would have a career before WWE, but they could really only show the footage of them in WWE. So it's really cool, when they were showing that montage of all AJ's footage over the years, that you saw stuff from Japan and TNA, you know what I mean? So it was a really good tribute. And again, but full circle what you were saying, though, I completely agree with you. A lot of the TNA love all the TNA love, that was awesome to see.
Mhm.
Okay. Before we get into tonight's show, Io, did you have any final things you want to get into?
I think that's about it. I'm glad he also kind of shut down the this whole saying that WWE put in the Hall of Fame because they don't want him going to AEW. Blah blah. Well, glad he shut that down. Like he feel like he really is done. And but yeah, he does. AEW doesn't need him. They'll be fine without him, so to speak. So
Exactly.
all I can say is wrestlers out there is just like grow up, move on. End of story. Give the just let the man be a dad and a husband. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, yeah. So yeah, besides that, yeah, I think we kind of covered it.
Yeah, I think just a lot of that talk too, just because obviously he's familiar with a lot of the people there, and even before this happened, there's always going to be that desire from a lot of people again that want to see him go there. But yeah, now that it's over, just let him be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't need to dwell on the past, what could have been. Enjoy what we got. So,
Exactly.
completely with you. Okay, before we move into tonight's show, I just want to remind everyone that this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made of Nox psychedelic with 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It's liamine increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it might actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. And we all know you're going to need that when you're on those nasty ass gym mats. On top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order. Okay. Man, oh man, Io. Tonight's show, again, what I'm not going to say this was the greatest show. I'm with you. It was a decent show. But at the same time, I think once again, they gave you a lot and just proves what we've been saying, and like what I think that the rating show and just what the overall talk of that TNA is giving you a really solid to great product week in and week out. You know what I mean? I think again, I don't even like mentioning it. That first episode's kind of way in the rear view. But let's get into it tonight, and we're going to start with what we've been starting with the last few weeks. I really like how we've been doing this. I think the hot angle of tonight's show is basically, that we get to hear from Steve Maclin and I love wrestling so much, just how wacky it is. Only in wrestling where you could have somebody who doesn't even work there assault people who do work there, and then he gets scheduled time on the TV show to to get to talk about what his crimes. But this was very interesting because, and I want you to start, Io, but just the introduction of Hannifan and Steve Maclin, it's being told that they're so close and they've been friends for years. I thought is a very new element to this storyline that really just makes it even that much more intriguing. So I'll start with you. What'd you think about that segment, man? This was really good shit.
Yeah, yeah. This actually was actually good than many of us expected. Before we get to Macklin, we got to give Tom Hannifan his props. Like the way he kind of set that up, and like he kind of yeah, the way he kind of set that up, and kind of like was kind of like trying to kind of like humor. I mean, sorry, what's the word? Let it like kind of take us back into like how close these two are, him and Macklin. Like, okay, um according to him and Steve, like Steve put in a good words for TNA to could bring Hannafin here, which I'm glad he did. Let's be honest. uh and like they've been tied to go way back, obviously, from NXT, WWE, and all that other stuff. So but yeah, the way Macklin's been acting these past couple weeks, like has been kind of unsupportive and stuff. So like yeah, so like yeah, the whole way, the whole the whole from beginning to the end, like it was kind of, it was really good, really good. Like so yeah, Macklin came out with security and stuff. Yeah, because oh yeah, give a shout out to the crowd too. I'm gonna get into. So yeah, Macklin, he was given a microphone to kind of say his case and stuff. Um, um, and to credit to him, well, I mean, the crowd kind of like, was kind of like, sort of hijacked him, but like, but at least it was kind of needed, so to speak. Like, I meant just like this is kind of turnaround. Like, he's not a baby face anymore. Like he's now he's becoming like a hateable person. The crowd was chanting like, "You don't go here. You don't work here. Uh, we don't care, wrap it up, blah blah, blah and stuff." I was kind of laughing a bit, but yeah, but yeah, to Immaculat's credit, he did mention that oh well, you guys were kind of crying when I got fired on Twitter and blah blah, which is true. And then yeah, he brought a good point. He mentioned turning point. So like turning point, the night after Santana lost the TNA World Title, and he no showed for the most of the day, and then appeared, and then Macklin kind of had to like handle business by himself, so to speak, in that 2-on-1, so to speak, before Mike actually did came. I'm glad he brought that up, kind of. So he does kind of have a case, so to speak, like because he's been mentioning selfless. He's been tweeting about this selfless, like because sometimes when you're selfless, like things don't kind of go in your way, and I can understand that from that point of view. Uh, Before I continue, yeah, what are your thoughts, so to speak, on this segment?
Well, first off, going to the crowd, like I don't know, this is kind of like just modern day wrestling crowds in general. Like I think they a little bit try to hijack the crowd. It's almost like the what chant. He had to kind of work a little bit to get the crowd to kind of hate him rather than just kind of, just out there kind of in it for themselves. You know what I mean? Just kind of not really paying attention to what he's saying and just kind of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he, at the end, they were really booing him. You know what I mean? And Macklin is a heel. Well, I appreciate his work as a babyface. I think he's really in his element as a heel. Even though like a lot of the things that he's saying, which makes a really good heel, it's almost like Bret Hart. You know what I mean? When what they're saying is right, and you know what I mean. They're the only ones that believe it. You know what I mean? And no one cares. You know what I mean? That makes a really good heel. And I'm glad you brought the turning point because he's just further planting the seeds. I think I think that's the next route where they're gonna go. Santana versus Maclin for the title. And I'm all for that. I could honestly see them building this towards Rebellion in April, which that's a good time. That's a good amount of time just to really, really build this thing up to make it something, because that would be a phenomenal match. But yeah, this
Yeah,
whole thing was very
I'm,
good.
yeah, I'm looking forward to like what's next. I think that's one of the good things about the show. Like they're giving us stuff that kind of sink into. Looking forward to like what's next. I think that's kind of what makes a good television show. All these type of stories. So yeah, crowd was trying to get into Steve, but he kind of yeah, he see yeah, I'll say both guys did a good job. Steve explained his side. The selflessness was too much for him. Hannafin did a good job too, kind of controlling the situation. Like he was kind of cutting like a wrestler promo compared to like a journalist promo, like I mentioned. Like that was good. And then after a few minutes of silence, Macklin, put his hand on Tom's shoulder. We didn't know what happen, and then of course, he sucker punched him in the stomach, and yeah, that's what caused Santana to come out. Macklin kind of got away. Then he shoved down Ray Walt. This was good. Like I mentioned, if the heat kind of continues on, to the next show or whatnot, I think we got another top heel in Macklin. I think, especially because Santana, he's kind of running out of some. I mean, nothing against Kazarian and Nemeth, but like you're just kind of like freshen things up, so to speak. But yeah, we got another top heel in Macklin. So yeah, I enjoyed the segment. This was very good, and credit to everyone on this. So, yeah. Well,
I would love.
what was your thought? Yeah, what was your thoughts when he assaulted Tom and Matt?
Yeah, man, that's definitely what really got the heat going and definitely established. Yeah, Macklin's full blown heel. If it wasn't clear before, I would love for them to just continue to have him there, with it keep being said that he doesn't work there. I would love to see it sacrifice, an unsanctioned match. Santana really won a match. Obviously, that doesn't mean that that Macklin's fired, but I would have Maclin go over that match with him wanting a title match. That'd be the reason. Him earning that if he wins. I don't know necessarily if I would have Maclin go over. I would, me personally, at that point have him win the title, but yeah, they really
Well,
need to.
it's kind of hard to predict on that, but like I'll say right now, Santana's gonna be kind of like I mentioned. It's like the other week. This is gonna continue until Santana forces management to give him his job back, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think they need to really they could really do a lot with this one. Don't you think?
It's
If they
few, yeah,
stretch it out, not too long, but they could really build this thing,
yeah,
because this is already a hot angle.
yeah, yeah. They can definitely stretch this.
People always talk about wanting stories they can sink their teeth in. To get behind, to go with the matches. But I think this is already a good storyline. So I
Hmm.
can't wait to see what else this produces.
Hmm.
Okay, let's circle back. We're gonna start now. We're just gonna, start with the rest of the show and we'll work our way to the main event. We open the show with, again, this was I was in this took me by surprise, but at the end of the day, I get the result, and I'll start with you, Io, on this one. We have the Nemesis taking on and defeating Leon Slater and Mike Santana. I say it was taken back just because, it's odd having, the two top champs, in the men's division pinned, but I get it because Nick does have that title shot against Santana. He did his own in for the call your shot. So I'll start with you, Isle. Were you surprised overall by the winner, and two, what did you think of the match? Because again, I thought this was a fun match.
Yeah, this was a good way. This was a good way to kind of kick off the episode. So to my surprise, I thought it was the main event, but I'm glad they kind of opened it. Um, yeah, it was good to have Leon back on our TV screens, especially right now in the AMC area. Um, yeah, good stuff. Good show. Good stuff. Good sequence and stuff. Obviously Ryan's there just to kind of take some of the bumps and stuff. But um, I really did like I mean Leon, getting some of the shine in it too. Like because it's been we haven't really had him on our screens for some time, so it's kind of good to get him some ring work. Him and Santana, they have some good chemistry as a team. I enjoyed their match back in No Surrender, the tag match in No Surrender, and they did some good stuff here too. Um, yeah, but then of course towards the end, before Slater was going to go for the Swanson 450, here comes Eric Young, coming out distract. And as we found out last week, EY proclaims that Slater's ruined the X division, in his own words, so to speak. So he's trying to distract Slater. Santana tried to scare him off away. Slater tried to go for the Swanton 450, but then Nick, had his knees up, and then it kind of went for the roll and pin. So yeah, kind of pinned Slater there. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting. What's next after that? So yeah, Slater, already back. He's at he not only he has to deal with not only he had to deal with with the Nemitz and stuff. Now he has to deal with Eric Young. Creeping up behind him and stuff. So, but yeah, also not a good night too for Santana. First the match and then Maclin causing havoc, obviously, and yeah. But anyway, it was a good. But my main thing, it was a good opener to kick off the episode. What you think?
Yeah, just because not only was it, like I said, a fun episode, I agree with what you said as well, but there are reasons behind not only the winner, but yeah, as you mentioned, Eric Young, and I was saying Nick Nemeth with his Collier Shot trophy. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts in this one, so I definitely am for, even though I was like, wait, Nick and Ryan go over him. That's a little weird, against your two top champs. I get it, like I mentioned.
But it makes sense. So to speak.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, next we just move on to a quick righteous segment, and then just continue to kind of apologize for, them kind of in their part for them losing their match at No Surrender, and then just saying they're going to continue to try to prove themselves to the Hardys. This was fine. I'm kind of over this angle just because I don't know. I just watched wrestling long enough. It's just one of those predictable angles that I'm almost just kind of waiting for its conclusion so we can just both move. Everybody can move on, but this was fine.
Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat that again? Sorry, I was on mute again.
Oh no, I was just saying. I said we just had a righteous segment where they just continue to apologize to the Hardys for their part in losing the match at No Surrender, and then just saying that they're going to continue to try to prove that to the Hardys that they are on their side. I was just saying that I'm kind of ready for this angle to move on because, watching wrestling so long, it's such a predictable angle. You know where it's going. I'm just kind of ready for it to be over and done with so everybody can move on.
Yeah, same. It's kind of the same story. Like they're trying to basically plead their case like what happened at No Surrender was an accident. Dutch black hole slamming Matt and all that stuff. They're trying to gain the Hardys' trust. Like, yeah, we've been through that. So whether Matt and Jeff buys into that or whatnot, that's no, we don't care. But so just yeah. Bottom line is we gotta build up contendership, and next week, we'll want to get that answer to that. But yeah, I agree with you. Just trying to move on.
Okay, next we're gonna move into what I thought was the match of the night. It was Danny Luna taking on Lei Ying Lee and defeating her. Man, they're continuing to really, since she's been dubbed Doomsday Danny Luna, they're really making her look like an absolute killer out there. She's a beast. It's not like they made Lei look weak or had Danny just go out there and run through her. But man, they really made, and I'm not saying she made quick work of her, but man, they really made Danny look like she's the next world champion in the knockouts division. They made her look like $1 billion. It's only inevitable before she's the knockouts champion. I don't know if they're gonna have her go over Ariana. That's what I would do. But yeah, this was a fucking good match, man.
Yeah. Seems like she hasn't missed a step. I mean, she's obviously she hasn't missed a step. Yeah, she just hasn't been able to come here. But I'm glad they kind of kept their momentum and stuff. They gave us the match that was supposed to happen at Genesis, and for what it's worth, they did kind of lived up. Both women, incredible talents. A lot of different styles. Lei Lee kind of held her own. Held her own, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, of course, Danny, she's on a warpath, so to speak. So I wouldn't say I'm not surprised. I wouldn't say that I'm surprised with the victory. Of course, Danny, she's on a warpath. So it's interesting that commentary keeps mentioning that not only Danny still has a title shot, Jody has a title shot, which we'll get into later, and of course, Lane Lee, the former champ, she has a title shot. So it'll be interesting to kind of how to handle all that situation, especially with who our current champ is. But yeah, this is a good match for between the knockouts.
Yeah, that I had totally forgot about all of those, and that's really cool that there's just so many contenders. It just kind of shows you that everybody wants the belt. You know what I mean? And it kind of just shows you the prestige of it. You know how important it is. Yeah, they are just making Danny, like, again, going back to what we keep saying, they're just making Danny look like the one. You know what I mean? The trajectory is clear. It's just a matter of time when she gets that title. Okay, next we had just a quick segment, and it plays out in the main event, but it was just basically Alicia Edwards. She, with kind of the encouragement of Moose, she re-signed with TNA, and this was interesting. I don't think we should say too much more, just because we kind of tied into the main event. But this is good. I'm glad Alicia's sticking around.
Yeah. She kind of got me there. I thought she was gonna decline. I mean, she kind of felt like she's not really needed. Especially the way things are going with the system and stuff, and was about to walk away, and then until Moose came on. Moose came on and kind of convinced her that TNA needs you, and we need and da da da. I get Moose as being a friend here and stuff, and I mean, of course, Alicia. I mean, right now she's kind of innocent, but at the same time, like your husband. At the same time, that's your husband. Doing, at taking things in another hand with the system and stuff, and I don't know. If I'm Moose, I just kind of like think you get what I'm saying, Bird. Like if I'm Moose, I just kind of be like a little too suspicious, so to speak. Like I'm not saying Alicia's not innocent in all this, but I'm saying like at the same time, like again, that's your husband. Like who knows how much is put in your ear? Like who knows what's going on in the family right now? So you get what I'm saying. So like
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm not saying Alicia's not innocent here. I'm just saying like be careful, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like it's like you're helping out a wife of an old friend that you're not in good terms with, and you're just trying to wonder like where does the wife's side into you? That's basically what I'm trying to say. So like, but
It's
it's interesting, especially what happened at the end of the show, so to speak. So yeah.
This is very messy. You know what I mean? Moose should not be good. You know what I mean? He shouldn't want any part of this. I agree 100 with what you're saying.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's good that
Okay.
Alicia's staying. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one good part. Next we just had what I thought was, again, I hope this isn't the last of it. We had just AJ Francis versus Mance Warner. AJ did win one with the DQ. I hope we get more from this and this isn't a one and done, just because I really thought that they had some potential with this, just because you got two bigger guys, you know what I mean, capable of that typical TNA guys too, who just because they're power guys doesn't mean they can't move, you know what I mean. I hope we get more of this, and I love whenever Mance and FDL are on screen together. And again, yeah, I really want more from this feud. I hope this is, again, repeat myself, I hope this isn't a one and done.
I think this is just getting started. Yeah, this was good. This was good. This is good way to kind of like give something for both guys, especially Mance, who hasn't really been doing much for some time. Um, yeah, a lot of good, he- heavyweight sequence and stuff, and was interesting is like yeah, going into that, I think Mance and Steph, they didn't really care about the match. They just wanted to hurt AJ pretty much. So I feel like we're gonna get like another disqualification match coming. I think that's where they're gonna take it up a notch.
And yeah, that's Mance's element, and that doesn't mean that Rich is gonna. I mean, that doesn't mean that AJ is going to be. It's funny I said Rich. Doesn't mean AJ is going to be out of his element, because we've seen AJ. He's willing to throw down those type of matches. He was more than capable in the one versus Rich. That was a war. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, if that's where they're going. I can't wait.
Hmm.
Okay, next we got what I would call a money segment. We get Mickey James coming out, and we know what's happening. She's calling out Ash, but first we get Iceman, who Mickey ain't having it. She sends him to the back, and
Yeah,
Ash
that was
quickly
funny.
comes out. And Ash's character in TNA, there's a little mixes of like Hot Mess, not Hot Mess, but Laura Van Ness, Chelsea Green, when she
Hmm.
was the kind of the over the top damaged bride character, you know what I mean, bride character. But Ash is just, it's all about her. Her timing with her lines is so good. But this was really good because Mickey was running her down, just talking about how she's not as good as she thinks she is. I love how Ash was just saying that she was the top prospect as soon as she left WWE. This was so good, Io. This was a great segment.
Yeah, this was this was actually good. Yeah, I was cracking up when Mickey Mickey came in all business. Like she didn't want to deal with the personal concierge and stuff. But yeah, yes, yeah. I'm glad they kind of like brought up their history. As Mickey mentioned that when Ash got released, from the other company, she came to Mickey for help and for advice and stuff. which kind of led Ash into TNA and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah, she's saying that Ash has kind of turned her back. She's not the same person that was kind of like a friend, so to speak. Talking smack. She's alluding to like Ash going on Twitter, talking smack about knockouts of the past, this is not disrespect, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. Man, of course, Ash, she's in her own mind. She's on her basically, she didn't really kind of like put into what Mickey was saying into her head and whatnot. She was kind of in her own mind saying like, oh well, she was a hot free agent. She was the hottest free agent, but I guess TNA hit the jackpot in her mind. But anyway, this was really good. Yeah. Especially, yeah, Ash kind of needed this to kind of like get back in the years run because obviously she's not in the title picture right now and stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of good. It's kind of good timing, and it's always good to see Mickey. Like she can always contribute. She's a great talent, and also she's a great storyteller. I think that's one thing we kind of give her a pat on the back. She's a great storyteller. Like you put her in something, she's gonna like she's gonna give it all with it because she's that of a lovable baby face. And yeah, again, Ash, in her own world, not really kind of listening to Mickey, calling what she call Mickey, irrelevant, irrelevant, washed up legend, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. But yeah, this, I mean, yeah, it got sparked already. I mentioned this before. They could really stretch this feud, probably to the next pay per view they want. I mean, depending where the next time we see Mickey and stuff. But yeah, this was really good. A lot of very knockouts heavy on the show. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and it looks like we're heading. Obviously, we saw the talk that a few more legends will be right behind Mickey. In turn, we saw the rumors of Brooke Tessmacher and Taryn Terrell could be coming in, and that's the match we're going to get. What was that?
No, it's just possibly.
Yeah, possibly. And if that's the match that we get, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't personally lobby it because I mean ring rust and whatnot, but
it's a one-off.
It depends what they want to do, but yeah, I'm kind of glad they kind of they kind of like made it personal right off the jump. Obviously, yeah. Just when Mickey wanted to throw hands with Ash, video on the screen, yeah, showing the Elegance brand, the Elegance brand confronting Mickey's son, who was backstage. Jody Thread was there already to watch over him. We'll get into Jody later, but yeah, that was enough to kind of distract Mickey. She ran up to the ram, and then she got blindsided by the Elegance brand, and then they put a beating on her. So yeah, it's already gone personal. Yeah, shows the brand has no boundaries. Like they're willing to do what they can to get the upper hand. This was what they did. So yeah, I'm already interested with this feud. So.
And M came out and clobbered her, man. You know what I mean? Like M came out with a full head of steam and got it. M's definitely heavy of the group. She's out there wrecking shop. Yeah, and of course, Mr. Elegance, he hasn't really done anything yet besides just go out there and pose.
Did you see what he did with those belts? He was using them as dumbbells, so to speak.
It's very Scott Steiner-esque, you know what I mean? That's very big.
He was using those belts as dumbbells, and I kind of laughed. So yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
I like how you So we're gonna move on now, and I like how you said that it was very knockouts heavy. We had Jada Stone taking on Tasha Steelz, and man, oh man, this is another one. They're just continuing to give her everything and just try to build her up. She got the win. And what I really liked about this match is, she seems to have the system's number, man. she was once again taking it to all three members that were out there. It was Tasha being accompanied by Hotch and Alexander. I also really, really like that. I mean, Skylar and Hotch. I really, really like that Tasha was, it definitely came off to that she's, number two in the order four. The Great Hands had her back completely. And like I mentioned, Jada did get the win, but they didn't let her celebrate, for maybe a second before they got in there and took her out. So, and Tasha looked good in this match as well. I definitely hope we get more Tasha as well in singles competition. What did you think about this one, Isle?
Yeah, this was good. Both women got over here, in my opinion. Obviously conspicuous by, I mean, not only Mustafa, but Special Agent Zero wasn't there, which was interesting. So, yeah, I mentioned this in our group chat. We need to keep an eye on, keep more eyes on Jada Stone. Like, I think this year, she's kind of gonna wow a lot of folks. I'm not saying title contention or stuff. I'm just saying she's gonna kind of be one of those people that you're gonna enjoy watching on screen whenever she's on screen, which tonight was an example. Um, yeah, kind of glad that they kind of continued on her beef with Tasha, because Tasha did cheap shot her a couple weeks back and stuff. So yeah, this was good stuff. This was good stuff. You got the upstarts, and against the veteran and stuff. This was good stuff. Good short match. She got the roll up and stuff, and her mistake, was rolling out of the wrong side. And I remember I was watching, I saying like, get out, because like
Yeah.
Hotch and Scott were behind her, and then she got the win, but order four, they got the last laugh after. So seems like this is far from over too between these two. And it'll be interesting, like what when we'll see Mustafa. The injury report kind of pouring him. He's still kind of feeling the effects of the casket match last week.
Yeah, and that's probably where order four is. You know what I mean? He's he's bodyguard. You know what I mean? He's got to make sure nothing happens to Ali. So, because I don't know if they mentioned Agent Zero in the injury report, but yeah, they did say Ali suffered a lot of damage in that brutal casket match. So, okay, we already covered the Steve Maclin segment, so we're gonna move on to the main event. It was a All-Star 8-man tag. I'd like to say it was the system: Barrett Bronson, Brian Myers, Cedric Alexander, and Eddie Edwards taking on the Hardys, Jeff and Matt, Wish the Righteous. Again, I really don't anything bad to say about this one, Isle. I just don't have much to say about it, just because it's the same old, 90% of the match, the Righteous and the Hardys seem to be on the same page. At the end of the match, we pretty much just got the Righteous trying to save the Hardys, led to the defeat. I'm just ready for someone to turn on one or the other, because it wasn't bad. It was a good match, but I'm just kind of over it. to be polite.
Yeah, I kind of figured this was gonna happen again. Miscommunication between one side against a well functioned unit. Gia Miller was on commentary. She did
That's
good
right.
job. Yeah, she did a good job handling the situation with Hannafin and all that. But yeah, this was a decent main event. Some good sequence and stuff. I did like the house fight between Dutch and Bear Bronson. I think that was pretty good. I think what's good about this pairing is like the Righteous, who are kind of younger. No offense, like to who are the no offense, to their partners. The younger side, they can do some of the other work and stuff. Like we saw Vincent doing the poetry in motion and all that stuff, and Dutch trying to do twist of fate and all that. So like they're kind of trying to like win over the Hardys, so to speak. But
Mhm.
I agree with you. Like at the same time, like where is this leading to? Like what's their actual agenda? Um, because in the towards the end of the match, who did Vincent pushed over to eat
Jeff.
the finisher? Jeff. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie was gonna go for the Boston Knee Party, and then yeah, Vincent moved Jeff out the way and took it, and yeah, the system kind of got the win and stuff. Um, yeah, so just another way the righteous trying to show the Hardys that they can trust them, that they're even willing to take take a bullet, so to speak, take a bullet for them. So there's that, and then of course the system weren't done. They still wanted to kind of wreak havoc, and then comes Moose. Um, and then yeah, then comes Moose. To take care of business. But eventually, the 4-on-1 advantage got him to him, and then yeah, they gave him beat him and stuff. And then here comes Alicia Edwards, which, as you and I mentioned earlier, like I mean, of course, like right now she has Moose's back. Right now, I think she's gonna be his manager going forward. I believe that's what Moose said earlier. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, she was there to protect Moose, telling them to back off and blah blah blah
Mhm.
and all that stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to where it's gonna lead to. Again, I'm not predicting any. This is not me. I'm just saying, like, from a standpoint, you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
Mhm.
where's the wife's intentions? Or that's just kind of my thing, because at the end of the day, that's Eddie's your husband, and like you guys live together, so like it's just like, are you guys really gonna be mad all the time, or is it just okay? It's just one of those, okay, personal at home, business at work. Who knows?
Mhm.
But yeah. Right now she has Moose's back, but yeah, at the same time, Moose, it's gonna take more than Alicia to kind of deal with the system, so we'll just kind of leave it there. So, what was your thoughts on the ending parts of the show?
Yeah, like Alicia, like they could definitely do both in terms of Alicia could be his manager right now, and she's not involved with the system at all. But I definitely think that doesn't mean that there's not roads back to her turning heel because Eddie does have that briefcase. You could have Alicia get back to being a heel with Eddie. Having him. I don't know. I'm not saying they would have Eddie win the world championship, but I just don't think that. Yeah, you could have Alicia turn on Moose now, but then what? You know what I mean? Then like, what was the whole point of this to begin with? You know what I mean? Just like a quick serve, a quick angle. You know what I mean? Just to act like Alicia was going to leave. Just to, you know what I mean? So I'm more intrigued with her being Moose's manager for a little bit.
Yeah. As our buddy Matthew in the chat mentioned, like they can be married and mad at each other a lot. It
Yeah.
happens. I mean, it happens. Yeah, in a couple relationship, like personal stuff at home, business at work. Like I get that. Maybe that's just my own thing, and maybe this could be a full time thing. Alicia
Mhm.
watching, and honestly, on screen wise, I think Eddie and Alicia need a break
Yeah.
from like on screen wise. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
who knows?
That's what I'm saying. I rock with the idea of her being with managing Moose for a little bit. Let's
Yeah,
separate the two for a little. You know what I mean?
yeah. My point is, I'm just gonna say, the more Alicia's getting into this beef situation between Moose and the system, like you just kind of wonder who she's really gonna side with at the end of the day. That's kind of my point.
Exactly.
So if I'm Moose, I just kind of like think about what I'm trying to do here, like convincing
Hmm.
Alicia to kind of be with me. So I don't
I'm
know.
100 with you on that,
I just kind of find it strange, so to speak. But yeah,
Exactly.
you know.
Well, all right.
But at
What?
least the good news, by next week we'll have new contenders for the tag title. So I wouldn't be surprised if the system kind of get that one, because they've been on a roll lately. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm intrigued by that one, especially if it's Myers and Bronson in there. Well, okay. Yeah, again, another solid show. I think this is probably the weakest out of this hot streak they've had. Doesn't mean it was a bad show, but I think it was a slower one. But overall, I really enjoyed it as I've done. I have every week now. It's a quality product they're putting out. I'm loving
Well, I
it.
mean, yeah, like it's like not. I mean, we can't really expect every episode to top one another.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's always going to be those decent episodes and those very good episodes. I think tonight was a decent episode. Like you got the wrestling wise. For those who were kind of complaining about the wrestling, I think you got a lot more than you bargained for.
Hmm.
Five matches, which is pretty good. I think it was five matches. One, two, three. Yeah, five matches. So there's that, and yeah, and TNA. It seems like TNA is in a good place. Like right now, they're getting over 200 viewers, but they can maintain that. I think they kind of found. I think they found a good place, and like I'm not gonna talk about ratings much, but I think they're right now. They're kind of sorry finding a good spot. AMC is very happy and stuff. So, but yeah, there's gonna be decent episodes. There's gonna be good episodes.
Yeah.
Next week they're live, so that's a good thing. It'll be interesting to see how much interest can they get from a live episode compared to a tape episode.
Yeah. That's really cool. We're turning back to live next week. We're turning back to a live format. Yeah, that I definitely expect a hot crowd. Anything can happen on a live show. Um, and yeah,
So,
it's been
sorry,
so
real quick. So, yeah, we got the contenders four way, Sinner and Saint, the System, the Righteous, and Swan and BDE. Elena Black will go on and win with Amara Sade, and then Ariana's defending the title against Jody Threat. So, it'll be- oh yeah,
not going to be again.
sorry. Speaking of Jody, real quick, yeah, she got attacked backstage. Santino assumed that it's the Elegance brand, but apparently it was Tessa and her crew. So there's that, and of course the suits Ariana. I mean Daria once again putting the blame on Santino. She's like that boss you don't want to deal with. It's at work. Like that's what kind of Daria's becoming. So but yeah, she kind of says that she's not actually she reveals she's not actually mad that Ariana's the champ. She thinks she'll be a good champ, but she feels like Santino's judgment decision is gonna kind of make her look bad, and she doesn't want that. So we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, she just had her eye on him the whole time. You know what I mean? She pinpointed on him. You know what I mean? She's not like him from the jump. So like any reason she could find to put blame on him, she's going to. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank everyone for joining. Thank everyone for joining the chat. Obviously, I want to thank Al for joining me each and every week. Love talking TNA with him. Remind everyone to make sure you guys like and subscribe to Body Slam to get notified whenever we go live or whenever the many, many, many people on there go live. A lot of great things happening over there. And with that being said, thank you all, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
There's